All right, cool. We're sitting at 32 people here, 33. They keep coming in. It's 10:03. We're gonna start this up, get things going. I appreciate everybody for joining in who's in here already. Welcome. Um, Super glad you guys can all make it. What are we doing in here today? As you may be able to tell, you guys can see my screen. Everybody can see my screen right now. You see
Yep.
my screen, Megan? All right,
Yep.
fantastic. All right, down there we got the Report Builder basic training. So this is going to be pretty basic. And I'm your presenter here today, Matthew Wagner. What am I? I'm the student database and application manager here at LACA. What do I
So
kind
at
of,
the end, it doesn't show.
hey, Brian, can you mute yourself? Thanks. Sorry about that. So what do I do here? Focusing on that database part. I'm doing a lot of database stuff with you. I'm pulling out data for you guys. You need custom data. I'm doing reports, obviously. We're doing this report builder training here today. And if you guys ever have any kind of questions with any kind of data, I'm your data expert. If you need anything with manipulating data in Excel, I'm an Excel guru. I can help you with any of that kind of stuff. If any of you are advanced users and pulling that data in Access or something like that, I can help you guys with that kind of stuff as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the session. So the very beginning here, what is Report Builder? Some of you guys may be new to the product. Some of you may have been using it for a couple of years already. So we're going to kind of treat it, since this is a basic training for somebody who's kind of never seen it or doesn't know what it is at all. So what is Report Builder? Well, you can say that there's a lot in a name, and in this case, there particularly is, because we have reports. And so that's a big clue that we're going to be dealing with reports here today. And it also has the word builder in it. So it has to do with us building reports and making reports to suit your guys' needs. But not only that, you'll also have the ability to build or customize your own reports as well. And we will be exploring that today inside this training. For the technical aspect on the background, this can go in one ear and right out the other, but it runs on Microsoft SQL Server reporting services. And for all of you that don't know, Progress Book, our system, runs on Microsoft SQL Server database. So Microsoft SQL reporting services and SQL Server database work hand in hand together. So these things just naturally kind of work side by side and kind of work flawlessly. If anybody has questions, they can type them into the chat. You could also bring it up, but if it's some kind of crazy question, I might push that to the end of the presentation too. So you could raise your hand, or you could just put something in chat and I would know you had a question and we can ask you what your question is. So continuing on, you might be saying to yourself, what's the big deal? I already got reports. I've had reports forever. I've got my R700, my R302. I got my R reports. I've got my sync reports out there that are out there. I got my Progress Book Classic reports. I got Report Designer / ad hoc reports. I got reports coming out of my ears. So what's this really giving to me? Well, I can tell you back in the day when I used to go out to the districts, and every single time an official report was made in the system, we would go out to the district. I would say, okay, here's a report that shows all your grades. And people would line up and they would say, oh, I really love the new report, but could I have it where I can take the students' names off the report so I can post it up on the wall and it could still be kind of anonymous and I can put the grades up on the wall? Next person comes up, hey, I like it shows all the grades, but could it just show me all the Fs? Because I want to have an F report and I want to see who my areas of concern are. Next teacher right after that, complete opposite. Hey, I want to be able to see all my students who are getting the A's. I want to have an A report. So it would just come in a constant stream. So whenever you developed one report, you'd end up with 10,000 new report requests, all based on that report that we just created. And so you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do you deal with a problem like that? How do you cope with all these variances and nuances of what exactly I want to see in this report and have it work for me? And that's where Report Builder shines, because you can take one of these very generalized reports and you can make it work for your very specific needs. You want that report to be an F report? Boom, it's an F report. You want that report to be an A report? Boom, it's an A report. You want to take those student names off the report? Take the student names off the report. It gives you the ability, a lot of tools at your disposal to make this thing just for you. And the thing is, you can't just put those 10,000 reports inside the product, because who wants to scroll through 10,000 different reports and see, this person's F report, that person's A report, this person's no name report? It would just clutter it with all kinds of stuff. So you need the ability to make your own personalized reports that work just for you. And those don't get in the way of anybody else, because nobody else wants that particular thing the way you want to see it. And it works for you the way you want, and it works for them the way they want. So that's where this product really shines. But getting into the details here, what's this kind of also giving to us? Think of report building or reports in general as just a way for us or Progress Book to convey information to you, right? We can just put that information. You don't have to print off a report. That report can be just coming up on your screen. So essentially it could be a screen, and think and imagine in your head, if I want to see the student's schedule over here, I want to see their fees over here, I want to see the report card grades down here, I want their attendance information right here, I want to be able to see maybe also their discipline issues over here. We can use a report builder, put that all to a report, which shows on your screen. You can just bring up the report and look at it. And essentially now you have a screen that has all the tools and parts and pieces at a single glance without navigating all through the product to see what you're looking for. So it gives us those kind of capabilities where we can put a bunch of different things together so you can look at it in one place without having to run 5-10 different reports or navigate all over the place. That's just one way we can do this. You can export data. So if you have data needs for testing or photos, and you got to get data out of the system, we can create reports that are very basic, and you can kind of press a button and pull that data out of the system and send that to where it needs to go. Number 3 on our screenshot here, we can build new additional features into it. This is an example. Teachers, let's say they give out a big test. I'm a biology teacher, I give out a big test, and I want to see, how do my kids do in that test first period? Now, Progress Book Gradebook does that. It shows, this is the average student score and this is the average score, but maybe, first period's got my more advanced students in it, but I got 3rd period, 5th period, 7th period. I got a bunch of different sections of biology. I'd really like to know how all my students did in all my different classes across the entire course on that test and how they performed overall, not just my advanced class or whatever. And we could build a report that adds up all those scores and creates a course average for that particular test, and it could show it to them. So we can add in totally new calculations and things that don't even exist in the system, create them in a new report, and give you additional features that you don't actually have in Progress Book. So it allows us to kind of programmatically create those things for you through the avenue of a report. Number 4, you can get any kind of data analytics you've been wanting. So I don't know if so many people out there are statisticians, but you want to know the mean, the mode, you want to know the standard deviation, you want to know all these different things about a certain set of information. We can create any kind of data analytics you want and put those data analytics into a report, and then make that report available to you. And then you have those data analytics tools at your fingertips. Number 5, which I kind of alluded to earlier, is that you guys can customize it and you guys can make it work for your specific needs for whatever you want to do. So that is one of the huge deals why it is a big deal. And number 6, nice thing about this is this particular product is built inside Progress Book. So you don't have to click on another website or navigate to some other thing, remember another password, go to some other place to run these reports. You just click on the screen, the report's there, you click your report, you're good to go. So there's no additional navigating around or trying to remember things like that. It's all just built directly into Progress Book. So getting access to Report Builder. You guys can everybody hear me? Can you hear me, Megan?
Yeah, I can hear you, Matt.
If you're not hearing me, you might want to try turning up the volume on your system, or also making sure your selection and your audio drop down for the meeting. There's usually where you can see your microphone on the bar. If you hit the little down arrow there, you can select a speaker and make sure that it's using the speaker that you're planning on using for the meeting. So make sure it's going to the proper channel. Continuing on, getting access to Report Builder. So the good news is if you're on the gradebook side of the aisle, you already have access to Report Builder if it's turned on for your district. If you guys don't have Report Builder turned on in your district, we can turn that on in 2 seconds. But if you're a principal in Gradebook, you're already seeing principal reports. If you're a teacher in Gradebook, you're already seeing teacher Report Builder reports. If you're a guidance counselor, you're seeing guidance counselor reports. So inside Gradebook, it's all kind of modeled together and it works very seamlessly for that product. Inside the student information side of the house, just another note in that Gradebook, if you do have more than one role, say you have guidance and principal, you're going to see all those reports together. No matter what screen you're on, you're going to be able to see all those reports together. On the student information side of the house, basically what you want to do is talk to your LACA or your LLAMA administrator to make sure you get request access for the reports that you think you need to see. There's different types of reports. There's like principal reports, EMIS type reports. There's a bunch of different roles in the system that we apply those reports to. Reports, I can say it, this one should be seen by EMIS and principal. So I would flow out to either of those people. And you can also, on the other side, have more than one role. So if I say I want to have both principal and EMIS, I'd be able to see all the principal reports and all the EMIS reports because I have both those roles. So you would be able to see everything. And it always comes together in your list. It's everything you have access to is going to come together. But if you need access, that's where you'd want to work with your LLAMA administrator to request access for what you need. And a whole nother thing, if there's a report out there that you're seeing and you're like, that would be a good report for EMIS coordinators to see. Maybe principals will see EMIS coordinators are. I can actually go in there and I'll change the security for any given report. And I could say, oh, well, this should be available to principals and EMIS coordinators, and I can make those designations and share those things. So if you ever need that, that's another route we can take, where we can make these reports available to certain roles because we think those roles need that specific report. They've got that question here on the bottom of the screen. If a user does not have access to EMIS, can they run EMIS reports? And in Report Builder, the answer is yes. I cheated there. I gave you the answer right up front. The Report Builder access is separate from your regular access. So you might not have access to EMIS screens to edit or view, but if you have the Report Builder EMIS security, you'd still be able to run those reports related to EMIS because you've given that security to you. So you can run the reports. And if you have that situation where we want people to be able to run like EMIS style reports, but we don't want them to have access to the screens, yes, we have a capability of doing it. We would just want to give them the Report Builder EMIS role, and that would work seamlessly for that. All right, so let's talk about kind of navigating the product and using it from a student information side of the house, because we already said that this kind of works from Gradebook. Everywhere on most of your Gradebook screens, you're going to see Report Builder reports on your right side of your screen, and it's just going to be hanging out there for you. In student information, we got a lot more going on, and it's a little, you have to actually navigate to that screen. The first thing we want to check is, what do I have in context? So when I'm looking at that upper right-hand corner of the screen here, I can see not only am I in this Tri-Valley School District, but I'm in Tri-Valley High School, and I'm in the year 24-25. What happens is it's going to use what you have in context to generate the reports. So you may have seen, like with ad hoc reports, you always got to select your school, you got to select your school year, and it's sometimes tedious. It could take some time. You don't need to do any of that for Report Builder. It knows what school and what school year you're in because it's looking up in the corner to see what school and school year you're currently having context. That allows it to be really simple and allows us to have a lot less selections and stuff required to be made in order to run that report. So like it says down here, it allows it to be very simple. And so you won't have a lot of extra choices you don't really need to make when you run your report. And 99% of the time, you're going to want to be running the report for the school that you're in and the school year you're in. A couple of notes. Some people out there have multiple schools of access. Some of them have district level of access. If you have district level and school level, some reports are designed to run for the district. Some are designed to run for the school. Some are designed where it doesn't matter if you're in a school or a district is going to run. It just might run for just one building or for all the buildings. So the context does matter with your district or school level. But before you even go to your screen, just make sure you're sitting in here. And it's kind of more relevant this time of year, you know, like when you're starting to do your scheduling or you're trying to look back at the previous year and figure out stuff for scheduling. You might be navigating a different year. Just keep that in mind before you go to run one of these report builder reports. So you may need to change the school year that you're currently in before you go navigating out there and start running your reports. Well, if you have everything in context up there, a lot of people only have one school and one, you know, so they're already in there all the time. But you would have that set the way you want. And this is how you get there. So using that left side screen, you have that left navigation panel that came a couple years ago at this point. I think it's like been like 2 years, maybe a year. You're gonna go underneath local, and you click local, and it's gonna pop up links, and it's gonna say report builder links. You're gonna click on report builder links. The whole screen is going to flash, and it's going to take you to the report builder screen. And then on that screen, you're going to click on report builder reports. So you can click local, report builder links, report builder reports. And if you guys want to see it in action, I got a little animation here. So we'll just reveal the curtain and we'll just see this thing happening live. So if we look here, they're just clicking on local, they're clicking on report builder links, the screen flashes, they click on report builder reports, and there your reports are. And we'll just watch the whole thing again. Click local, report builder links, report builder reports, and it comes up. Once you guys done it 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 times, it's just going to become intuitive and you're going to remember it. You can probably watch this little animation like 10, 20 times and you're going to remember it. But I will also make this whole slideshow available. So these slides are all there with all these steps and things you need to click on. So you'll be able to refer back to that PDF of the slideshow to kind of also remember how to navigate to these places. Once you navigate to that screen, you're going to be right here. You're going to be on the report builder screen. One of the things about the report builder screen is that all these reports are appearing in alphabetical order. And once again, this is on the student information side of the house. They also appear in alphabetical order on the gradebook side. What I like to do when I put these reports in, I name every report. I put in a description for every report. And what I do is I put in this category. You see, this is admin dash class critical counts. So these are all the administrative style reports. And so they all appear here in this admin group. And then down here, you can start seeing there's like assessment-based reports down there. And of course, we're just seeing the A's here because they're in alphabetical order, but they're all kind of grouped like that. You're going to see like attendance reports, and you're going to see a group of reports with dealing with attendance. You scroll down a little bit further, you might see some reports referring to like grades, so on and so forth. The descriptions here is to help you guys kind of know what that report is all about. If you guys ever need me to change the description or you don't think a description is good, like I said, I create those so we can make those better if you have a better idea for a description out there. But to run the report, you're just going to scroll up and down the list. Like if you ask me for a report, I might tell you, hey, go to the student area and then click on this report. You scroll down the student, click on that report. But in this case, let's just say we want to run this cumulative GPA rank list. All you have to do is when you find a report you want, you're going to click that little play button there on the left that's highlighted. So you're going to click that little button and it's going to pop up the report for you. Now, because of that school and year being in context, a lot of these reports, you just click them and they just pop up on your screen and everything's done. You only have to make a selection because the selections are already made. That's one of the nice things about it. It just pops up for you. When a lot of these screens are going to be showing you more gradebook style reports. That way you can see some of these different settings that you might have to put in on a report. And let's get into it. So we click play on a report. We're going to go ahead and run that report. If that report does require some selections happening, you're going to be presented immediately with the setup screen as opposed to the report. And the important thing about this is the report builder interface, and there's always these 4 boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a pretty simple screen. You're just going to deal with these 4 boxes, and that's everything you do to pretty much run a report. Now, if you're running a report right off the bat, you may notice that this one says required, select required parameters. This second box is really important because you need to make a selection for each one of these. Sometimes there'll be things in there by default, like maybe it'll have today's date, or maybe it'll have a certain attendance code or whatever in there by default. Sometimes you'll have to make a selection. Here you can see we need to make 2 selections. You'll hit these drop downs and you'll make the selection. And when you made all the selections in this area, you can hit view report here and it'll just run. We are going to talk about each of these 4 boxes. We're going to go through them, but just keep in mind, if you just want to really quick run a report, you got to select these required things and then hit review the report, and it's going to run for you. But now I'm going to go into each area individually. So let's look up here at this first box here. What are we looking at? It says update report headers. What is in this category? Typically, you'll see a report title up there, which will be the title that displays on the top of your report. Why does that need to be shown? Because like I said, we can take a report that shows all your grades and maybe make that into an F report. So now it's not a progress report. Now it's an F report. So it needs a new title there when I take the report and I make it into something different to suit my personal needs. So it gives me the ability to retitle the report. Some reports, this isn't common, but they may have an ability to put more information on a report. This particular report allows you to put a message from the principal. So when you're running this, maybe it'll say something like, remember that parent-teacher conferences are coming up on the 13th or something like that. And then you can put that message on there. And when they send that report home, if you put it in the kid's backpack, when the parents look at it, it's going to have that principal message on it. So this just allows you to kind of convey different messages, whether it's what the report is or certain messages in the report, and allow you to send that information with the report that you're looking at. The second box, number 2. This is once again that required parameters box. Now I just wanted to show you this one's a little bit different. Just wanted to show you some different options that could be out there. This one, they're making a school selection. The reason they're selecting schools because this is a gradebook style report. So they typically have to select a school they want to run it for, as opposed to student information and already knowing in context what you have. This particular one also has a date. So you click that box, what actually happens is a date picker comes up down there, and you can just click whatever date you want. You'll notice that at the time when I took the screenshot was the 11th. So the 11th is highlighted. If I just wanted to run it for a day, I could just click the 11th. I would fill that in and be good to go. But I could also pick any other day this month really easily. I can use these arrows to navigate from month to month. I can also just go to a specific year and a specific month to run that report as well, or that find that date. And then click it. This is going to fill in the box. I'm also showing some radio options in here. You can see what those kind of look like if they're in there. Those are going to have a default setting. You could change them up if you wanted. One other thing that's kind of not shown in here, but you could run into, is a very similar box where instead of you're putting a date, you're just plugging in some kind of value, or it's asking you to put in a number of absences that you want to show up on the report. Let's say 5 or more. You might want to click in the box and type of 5. Or if you're looking for a specific course you're running on, maybe it's got a course name, and I say, mathematics. I put mathematics in the box to run it. So those boxes look very similar where they don't have a drop down. You just click in there and you type in what you want on that particular report. Now, talking about that, let's go to the next screen. I think I lost one of my actual slides in here. I think it disappeared, my optional filters slide. Let's go back to the screen here. There's optional filters here, down here, the third box. I don't know what happened to my slide for the third box. Oh, here we are, right down here. So you have so this third box down here is your optional filters. What that allows you to do is to customize this report to show certain things that I want to show in a report. And this is one of the things that really enables you to take a generalized report that's out there and customize it for what my particular needs are. Every time you put in an optional filter, as soon as I've typed this one in, another new line appears below it. Kind of hard to see there, but it's right there. So you can put in as many optional filters as you want in a report. You can put 1, you can put 3, you can put 5, you can put 10. What I do in this particular case is we're saying we want to show, here we have a incident type report where it's showing the different kind of discipline incidents that have happened at the school this year and giving me a count of those different discipline types. And what I'm saying here in this particular report is I want to show anything that has a count that is greater than or equal to 10. So you can see all these things are 12, 18, 33, 55, and 67. All those are greater than 10. So I'm not really, there might be 1,000 different discipline things that only happen one time. We're not really looking at those things. So when I put that filter in and I run the report, you'll see it, I'm getting just greater than 10. This particular report graphs it on the screen for me. It also gives me a little grid down here below, which kind of gives it out as a line item down there where I can see each of those individual things. So that just kind of shows you Or if I'm seeing a bunch of stuff there, I can say, okay, show me everything greater than 10, and kind of customizes that to be just that use case I'm looking for. Another optional filter here is you could be asked to put something in that has a name associated with it. So this says infraction, but you can think of this like anything. You can think of this like somebody's student last name. I could say student last name begins with WA. Maybe I'm looking for Wagner's, Warner's, those kinds of things. They would all come up in the report. If I said, show me students who have a last name beginning with WA, it's going to be Warner's, Wagner's, all those people there. I can also say does not begin with, and it's going to take Warner's and Wagner's out of there. If I'm looking for a specific last name, maybe a specific family or something, I could say last name is equal to, I type out the name Wagner. I'm only going to get students with last name Wagner on that report. Or I say is not equal to Wagner, I can take the Wagners off the report. That might be something you might want to do with like a staff report. If you have something that's showing all your staff in the building and you have a fake staff member, Mr. Staff, and that is the person you put in as your homeroom teacher or your lunch person inside your scheduling when you're doing that for your classes. Maybe you don't want that staff person to appear on that particular report. You can say, last name of the staff member is not equal to staff, and that's going to take that staff name off for you. You also have contains. If it just contains this little thing in it, I don't want it, or I do want it, or I don't want it in the report. This has a value, does not have a value. That just means, is there something filled in for it? Maybe I'm running a fee style report and I want to know everybody that has a fee. So I want to have everybody that has a value. Or maybe I'm looking for students who have paid all their fees. I want everybody that does not have a fee value. It's blank in there. Something like that. So you get a lot of these different options. And there are a lot of different options depending on what kind of thing you're clicking on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also provide this PDF out here, which kind of is a really basic overview, though, kind of like we're doing today. And this thing, the nice thing about it is it does show each of these individual options. It kind of talks to them or talks about them. If you did have any questions on those individuals, we're not going to go through every single little possible thing that you could choose there, but this will be something you could refer to in the future to kind of find out what that particular filter does. And don't forget, you can always call somebody on our team if you want to get that information as well. All right, so continuing on. We've talked about the first box, the second box, the third box, and now there's that fourth box on the screen. And it says add and remove columns on it, but they're not always necessarily columns. It's just being able to add or remove things from the report that you want to see. Like maybe it was those student names you wanted to take off on the report. Maybe in this particular instance, this points right here, that is a column on the report. That would take that column off. These assignment details, those are the individual details for each individual assignment. Maybe you don't want to see it that detailed. Take out those assignment details. Maybe on this particular report, it's not selected by default. Some of these will be on by default. Some of them won't. We have I can tell it what I want to have when you run the report, or optional. I mean, this report has an ability to collect a parent signature. So if I check that box and I run the report, now it's got a space on the bottom for the parent to sign it. So maybe that's some kind of progress report or interim that we want them to sign and return. I can go ahead and apply that parent signature. I could even apply page numbers to it. So if Billy didn't do so well on the test and we want them to acknowledge that, I can put those page numbers on there. So when mom's looking at the report, it's 4 pages long. I can see page 1 of 4, 2 of 4, and 4 of 4. Where'd 3 of 4 go? And then I'll be able to know that Billy took out the test that didn't do so well and that we wanted to sign off on. So you can put all these kinds of things on there, take things, put them on there, take things off. That's what this bottom box is all about, adding and removing things that you want to see or not. Now that we kind of looked at all those 4 boxes, let's go back up to optional filter. You'll notice that it says field name here, and people will be like, what's a field name? Right? Field name is a database term. I don't know why they used a technical term on the screen like that, but basically every database is made of tables, which are entities like students, teachers, classes, courses, things like that. And each of those tables has what's called a field, and those are all your pieces of that thing. With all your pieces of a student, they have a first name, they have a last name, they have a birth date, they have a middle name. They have all these things. Each one of those things are a field. And the way we can look at it in terms of the report is usually each of those fields goes with a column. in the report. Typically, not always. We'll be able to look at it here, but you can see that I've highlighted these and color coded them. So we have our weight amount on this particular report. We're showing how this teacher has weighted their class. So we're checking to see if they've set up their class the way the school has designated their weighting to be. Maybe we have something and we're going to verify that they set up correctly. Here, if I wanted to set up filters on certain weights or something, I can see a weight amount corresponds with this column. I can see this assignment type name. I shorten it on the report so it doesn't say assignment type name, but type. That lines up. So if I wanted to do a filter and I said I only want to see formative assessments, make sure everybody has a formative assessment, I could say, assessment is equal to formative. It's just going to show me or begins with formative. It's going to show me every assessment that begins with the word formative. You can see we have a report period, called report period short name, but these two align with each other. Also, this average method aligns with that. You'll see there's a couple other options in here, like class name. This particular class we're looking at is sculpture. I could say, I want to show sculpture and just show that. I could say I don't want to show sculpture. I could take it off the report. And I also have ability for a teacher name. And a teacher name I've actually blanked out on there. But if I wanted to, I could say, add this teacher or remove this teacher. I don't want to see them on the report if I was wanting to see certain individuals or take certain individuals away. So once you've made those choices, usually just the required to start with, basically your required things you need to fill in and run the report. The report's going to pop up on the screen for you. And like I said, some reports, you just click on the report, it's just going to pop up because it knows all the selections already right off the bat. You're going to be viewing your report. So in the upper right corner where I'm kind of focused in, we can kind of see everything what we're going to do to kind of navigate that report. We're seeing the report down here below, and I have the ability to navigate through these pages. So I can see right now that this report is 50 pages long. If I click this little arrow right here, that's going to take me to page 2. If I click it 3 times, it's going to go 2, 3, 4. So I can navigate through all the pages of the report. If I click this little arrow with the line, that's going to take me to the last page. So it'll take me back to page 50. And of course, these will take you in reverse. This will take you one page back, and this will take you back to page 1 no matter what. They're all blanked out because we're on page 1. We can't go before page 1. So, but as you navigate around, those will light back up for you. Let's say you don't want to just sit there and click through all these pages. You can also just click that box where 1 is at. I can click that. Let's say I want to go to page 35. I click that, backspace the 1, type 35 and hit enter. It's going to take me right to page 35 of the report. So you can also just navigate and go to a specific page by typing in that box. You're not going to see this on a lot of reports, but on some reports, this particular report is by default showing the students in alphabetical order. So there's all the students in my building by alphabetical order. Some people might want to see that you can see the first kid comes up as an 11th grader there. So maybe I want my 9th graders to come up in alphabetical order, then 10th, then 11th, then 12th. What I can do is these little arrows right here, I can tell it's a sortable column. I can click on that and it's going to flip to 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and it's going to put them in grade level order alphabetically. If I click on it again, I can also reverse that. It'll go from an up arrow to a down arrow, and I can have it go in reverse order. I can have it show seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. So I could go to reverse. So you can sort it either way. If you see those arrows there, you know that column is sortable. And then one other thing you might see on the report, these little pluses or minuses, these little boxes over here, that usually means you can expand or collapse something. So if I was to click that, I might be able to see all of his classes. I can click that button and it'll wrap it up for me and just put it into like a single line. Other reports, they're already collapsed. So I might just see, okay, this student's taken X number of classes or whatever. I want to see what those are. I press the button and it'll expand those out to me so I can see those additional details. But those are 3 types of navigation you'll see. This one's pretty prevalent. This will be on every single report line to navigate the pages. Sometimes you'll see sortable columns if we build it that way. There goes my bird. Bye. All right, so let's talk about, so we run the report, we've navigated the report, we talked about the selections you can make. Now let's talk about customizing the reports and making them work for exactly what you want, right? So here we have a report. This is current gradebook progress report. I want you to note that we have this points column turned on. But let's say I don't want this. This is a current gradebook progress. It's showing this student, and I can see he's taking 6 classes. He's passing 5. He's got 0 Ds, 1 F. I can see how many points he has in each class out of how many points were offered. I can see overall, earned out of possible. I can see he's got a average across all of his classes of 79.23%. I can also see every single time a teacher has updated these classes and whether they're using straight or weighted average. That's this report kind of shows by default. But maybe I'm looking for something the principal wants to know. I want to see a list of students who are in danger of failing a class, and maybe in danger, what we consider danger is if you're already failing, then you're in danger of failing the class, or if you get in the D range, you're close to failing a class. We want to monitor that. Maybe we're gonna do something or send something home to the parent or what have you. So what are we going to change here? We're going to want to change and get rid of all these A, B's, and C's. We're going to want to get rid of them. This whole column here, I'm just going to want to get rid of points. I don't want that to show it all. This shows a mock GPA, but if I'm only showing F's, it's not really going to be a true picture of where your GPA is. So I just want that off the report. And notice that that's that first option in here in the add and remove columns area. So let's just say we wanted to set that up. I want to make my danger letter. What you're going to want to do is in the upper left corner, if you're not seeing those setting choices already, you hit show setup, and that's going to take you and show you that setup screen where you have all of your 4 selection boxes to make your customizations on that report. So while you're looking at the report in the upper left corner, you're going to click show setup. This says this process can be cyclical. And what I mean by that is that you can do this as many times as you want, and they're additive. So, I can take this little piece off. I can run the report, see how it looks. I could filter out this class. Let's take that away. Let's see how it works. And you can do this thing where you just show setup, make another change, view the report. Like, I like that, but I want to still take this thing off. You can go through this process over and over again to kind of fine tune your report and tweak it until you get exactly what you want. So if we hit that show setup, it's going to bring me back those 4 options up top. And here we can see I've made the changes I need to make that generalized grading report for a student, the danger report that I'm looking for. Number 1, I've given it the title, danger report. I wanted to get rid of all my A's, B's, and C's, leaving my D's and F's. And I noticed that they also had pluses and minus, A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, so on and so forth. So I just said, we have the mark column. I say I want the mark to not begin with an A, which captures an A plus, or an A minus. They all begin with an A. And I say I don't want to begin with a B, and I don't want to begin with a C. That's going to remove all my A's, B's, and C's from that report, along with the pluses and minuses behind them. So I've done that. And you'll notice, that's why I had to draw your attention there. I unclicked that points box. And so now points is not in my list of things that are showing. So I've removed it. And then I click the little view report button when I've made all my modifications report, and we can see down below what it looks like. Now it tells you this report is my danger report. I've relabeled it. We can see that we're only seeing D's and F's for students. And, so the student, I can see he's got 1 F, the student's got 1 D, the student's got 1 F and 1 D. So I can see that it's doing exactly what I'm looking for. So you're going to go through that process. You're going to be able to make those changes and make those reports work exactly the way we want, just like we did for this danger letter. Once you have that built and it looks perfect and that's the report you want, you might think, hey, that took me a couple of minutes to set up. That's going to be annoying to do that every time. And that's the great part. So once we have that report, and you want to be looking at it and you want to say, yep, this is exactly what I want. You viewed the report and you can see that report on your screen. You can confirm this is the way I want it to look. Everything looks fantastic. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. Right next to that show setup button, you have save setup as with a little folder and an arrow. You're going to click that button. And it's going to bring up this little save setup as screen. It's going to put in a default name. It's going to put in a default description, but it is kind of important to have a name in there that's going to be something that you can remember. In this case, you might just want to call it the danger report because that's the title we gave it, and that might be easy for you to remember. Let's put something in that name that you're going to remember what it is at a later time. And if you want, you can put a description to yourself. If you want to, if there's some certain details you want to remember about the report, you can put a description in there if you want as well. It's not required. You're just going to change that, put that in if you want it, and then you're going to hit save. So hit setup. I got the numbers for you. Change the name, optionally add a description, hit save, and that's going to lock it in. Once I have that saved report, it's going to come up in student information as one of my user reports. In Progress Book, they call them my reports. I like that terminology because when you're looking at it and you say my reports, it is literally my report, or in your case, your report. Um, they call them user reports on the SI side. You see hide user reports. What I did is I hid all the regular reports that were the uncustomized ones, the general reports, and I'm showing just my custom reports here. So I can see these are individual reports that I made. This is admin, individual class critical counts, clean. So what I did is I cleaned out certain classes. I didn't want to see study halls. I didn't want to see, lunches. I didn't want to see certain classes that were ungraded. And I just wanted that to be, a subset of classes. So I did my filtering. I got the way I want. I saved it. I called it clean. That's my clean version. It takes out all the junk I didn't want to see. I can see if you look here, that was a gradebook report we were actually dealing with. And I can see that my danger report is right there in my reports. When you're in gradebook, if you scroll down below the reports, you'll see the my reports. And if I was to click that danger report, it remembers that report exactly as it was when with all the settings at that time, and it will bring up, when I click that, it's going to bring up that danger report. It's going to function just the way it would before. Now it's going to update the data. It's going to be, if this kid's grades have changed, now this kid's got an F, they're going to appear on the report. If they got a D, they're going to appear on the report where they might not have before, but it's going to remember all those settings that we don't want to show A, Bs, and Cs, that we changed the title, that we got rid of certain columns and things. It remembers all that. So you don't have to, so once you set it, you can forget it. You don't need to worry about all of those settings. You just click on your danger report and it works exactly the way you want. Maybe nobody else wants to see a danger report, but you've always got that there, and you'll be able to click it and get exactly what you were looking for. Now, here's the caveat. It's a my report, so it's mine. And remember how I said earlier in the presentation that a lot of people aren't going to want to see your versions of your report, your little niche report that you set up that works just the way you want. And we don't want thousands of reports all these users set up, clouding up everybody else's screen. So they got a list of 10,000 reports that they can't ever navigate through. So they are just yours. But let's say you want to share one. So I want to share a report. Somebody else in the office, they looked at my report and like, that's pretty snazzy. I want to be able to run that. So here's what I would suggest if you want to share a my report or a user report with somebody else. Keep in mind that they are just that. They're my reports. They're private reports that nobody else can see. I don't see them. Like even as administrator, I don't see them. Nobody sees your report except for you. But to share it, you'd want to tell the person what report you used when you ran it. Okay, I started off with this report. This is what I started with. And you can take a screenshot. So when you run the report, you can hit show setup like we did before when we customized it. And that has all those customizations we put in there. You can take a screenshot of that setup, and then you could either just jot it down and tell them, or it might, I think would be easier is just to paste that screenshot into an email and send that off to them. So when they run that report, if they plug in all those same customizations you put in, essentially they have the same exact report. They can run it, but perfect. It looks exactly like yours. And then they save it as a my report for themselves, and they have the same report that you had. So they apply the same setup, they'll have the same report, and they save their own my report copy. And now they have a danger letter my report. You have a danger letter my report. Both people have it. Both people are happy. That's how I would go about sharing those types of things. A lot of times when people call up and they say, hey man, I need a report that does this, that, or the other thing, I already know a report that does it, and I know the customizations they'll need. So I always tell them, run this report and then put in these options. A nice thing about it too is, let me flip back to one of these earlier screens that we're already looking at. Let's say this one where I've got it highlighted here. When you're looking at those settings too, if you do a screenshot, a lot of times it tells you the name of the report that's based on right there. So I can see if this one's grades, current gradebook progress right there in the upper right corner. So I can see that, and I can see potentially all the different optional filters that have been applied to make that work. All right. So that's how you would share a report. Now let's talk about printing reports. So you're not going to share them. You might want to put that danger letter on the principal's desk because that's what they're looking for. They want to get that. Here up top, next to those page settings where you can flip the pages to whatever page you want, there is a select a format option. It's a drop down. If you click it, the drop down opens up, And when you're going to want to print a report, this is my personal recommendation, everybody, is you select PDF, which is going to fill it in that box, and then hit export. What that's going to do is it's going to convert it into a PDF document, and it's going to allow you to save that on your computer wherever you want. You can put it on your desktop, you can put it in your downloads folder, you can have a special folder on your computer where you put these reports. It's nice because number one, you're going to have a copy of that report forever, of the report you ran, at least until you delete it. You can keep that as long as you want. You want to refer back to it, it's there in your folder, wherever you saved it. Number two, if you want to share, if you want to give that to somebody and it's in a PDF, you don't need to print it off and lay it on somebody's desk. You can just drag that PDF in the email and just email it to them, and voila, they got the thing. They can open it on the screen. You saved yourself a bunch of paper and a bunch of ink, so you don't have to actually print it off. You can share that PDF with everybody. You can share it to everybody in the school building. Run this report, and it could be spread out. So having a PDF is nice, and the best thing about the PDF is it always treats the report like it was natively designed. So you don't have to worry about looking weird on your screen. You got like on your phone, it's looking weird or whatever. When it creates the PDF, it makes the PDF look like it was originally designed on the report. And that report, as opposed to taking a screenshot with how it's looking on your screen or something like that, is going to be exactly the way it should. And it's going to print out nice. It's going to look really clean. So I always recommend, if you're going to print it, you're definitely going to want to create that PDF version of it. That way it prints out really nice and don't get like something like falling off the page or anything like that. Always convert it to a PDF, hit the export, save it, open that PDF and print it from the PDF. It's just going to look nicer for you. Now, I talked about this select the format drop down. So immediately some of you might be thinking, what are all these other things in the drop down, right? So you have different available file formats. You can not only export that as a PDF, which is what I would do for print it, you can export it in a myriad of different formats. So we want to get this report and do something with it. I can always just say, I want to hit that drop down and I want that to be an Excel document. I click Excel and I export it. It's going to ask me where I want to save it to. Once again, my desktop, downloads folder, wherever you want to put it. I save it there, and voila, now that report is in an Excel document. So now if I want to run my little formulas, I want to delete certain rows and columns, I want to mess with it all I want, I have it in Excel, and I can manipulate it all I want. The ones that are popular in here, there's a lot of different options here. Some of these are almost never going to be used, and some of these are going to be used frequently. And I'm going to tell you what the most popular ones. The most popular one's going to be PDF, because they're going to want to print that thing off, or they want to keep a copy of that specific report. They're going to keep a PDF for the records or for printing. So that happens a lot. The next one's probably going to be Excel, because we want to take that and put it into Excel and manipulate it. So I'll say I want to export this report as I'm seeing it right now, and I want to put it in Excel, the way I can play around with it. Keep in mind, it does do all the formatting, the logos, the title, everything that's in the report is going to be in an Excel spreadsheet. You can also do a CSV, which is going to be a little more cleaner database thing in terms of just having the data, and spit that into a CSV. That'd probably be the third most popular option there, to export that in a little more clean CSV file for maybe importing to some other software. Maybe they have something to simple student import, first name, last name, whatever, create the file, you can upload it. And then the next one's probably this TIFF, even though we're starting to get into the less popular options, but this is just kind of like taking a screenshot. This kind of just takes a graphical picture of that report for you, so you can export that. And it is going to be a large file format. It tells you right there, it's going to be a large graphic file. You can put out the Word. I never really put out the Word. You can make it like a web document, HTML. Most of you guys probably aren't building web pages, so it's of little interest to you. And this XML is kind of a special data transmission format. And since you guys aren't really probably running this with different programs or anything, this XML format is probably also going to be of little interest to you. So with that all being said and done, I showed you how to navigate through the reports. I showed you the basics of that screen and the 4 areas. It might seem like a lot right now, but it's just 4 boxes, and it's pretty simple. It's as simple as it can be. You just plug in your required things you have to put in, you run a report. If you feel like customizing it, all those options are at your fingertips to do. So getting into it, what's everybody dying to ask in terms of what your questions are about ReportBuilder, if you have them, and if you're brave enough to type something in the chat or to unmute yourself and to ask questions?
Hey Matt, it's Diana from
Uh-huh.
East.
Hmm.
How do we know what access we need to run certain reports? It's like I gave myself EMIS coordinator access,
Hmm.
but I see I can't run some things. Is there a list?
Um, there's not really a list, and that list would change every day because every single day there's reports being added to these different lists. So having a list is going to be something you would want to have a new list every single day because we're constantly making changes. Somebody asks me for a report, I'm going to say this is something I think a principal might want. I'm going to run it that way. Just thinking, I mean, usually when I create a report, I'm trying to do that kind of hard work for you. I say that who would want to see this report? Seems like something that EMIS coordinator might want to see, and then I would make that available to EMIS coordinators, or I might just say EMIS coordinators and principals want to see this. So I'm going to give it to both of those types of people. And remember, I can say what report goes to what place. So if you feel that that should be an EMIS report, it's one click of the mouse for me to say, okay, now EMIS coordinators can see that report. You can also just give yourself that other access. So like I like to see some of the, like maybe the grading and the teaching stuff, more of a principal interest. I want to see all those other reports there. So you can also give yourself requests through Llama for the principal access. But when you're trying to think about it, what access do I give myself? They're like, well, what do I need? Do I just need like EMIS type stuff? Am I looking for stuff that's more like, submitting for EMIS and stuff like that? Or do I have more broad tasks where I am kind of looking at more of like a grading perspective? Maybe I want to have that grading perspective in there too. So just look at think about what you want, get those requests in for what you think you need. And if there isn't something there you need, just give me a call and I'll add it to your screens, or we'll figure it out to make sure you can see whatever you need to see. So if you hear from somebody else like that's a great report, I want to see it. Just like, hey Matt, I want to see this report, and I'll make sure you can get to it.
Okay, thank you.
Next question. Nobody's typed anything in the chat, at least that I can see.
You're good, Matt.
You got a couple more minutes. Is anybody chomping at the bit? Anybody have experiences they want to talk about?
Hey, Matt.
Yep, go ahead.
Ellie. So some of these that I click on for like the CTE industry credential,
Okay.
it doesn't come up. It comes up and it just says, do you want to do all year or not all year, all the years? And
Mhm.
nothing comes up. Nothing generates though. So if nothing's generating, should I just let you know?
Yeah. If there's some now, keep in mind I make a lot of these reports. Some of these reports are also coming from Frontline themselves. So you'll also see some reports that don't really follow my format of having that category and that name. That's often a big clue that's coming from Frontline. And they may, when they design the report, typically the first thing I would try is if I have access to a school building or a district, maybe that's a district level report. Like maybe like a lot of EMIS reports, you want to run it for the whole building, the whole
Yeah,
district, as opposed to a single building.
I try to run it by building and then by district and nothing has
Yeah.
worked. So, okay.
So if that didn't work, let me tell me about it, and I can look at it to see if there's an issue or if there's a certain issue with your particular districts or buildings and how it's reacting. Or if it's not my report, maybe it's just something that they built a long time ago. It's just not working right. I can submit that as an issue, or I can just make one that's even better to replace it.
Okay,
Um,
thanks.
mhm. Who's next? Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to say something. We got 35 people in the room still. Well, we'll still continue doing the Q&A, but while we have the Q&A going, I'm just going to go ahead and flip over here. And there you go. What a relief. But there's my contact information. I do appreciate everybody attending. I'm not going to say have a wonderful day yet because we still might be getting some more questions in here. I'm going to stick around for at least a couple more minutes. We got clearance till 11, so we got 3 more minutes. But anybody needs it, my contact information's there. We are going to make this PDF available to you and of the slideshow. And keep in mind, we're also going to make this PDF available to you that's going to have the details for those filtering options as to what those mean. So we'll make sure you have both of those available to you. And your special one-time bonus offer, we'll make sure you guys can get to this recording that we're doing as well. So you'll have that. Any questions? Any final questions? I'm gonna do it like, going once, do it like the auctioneer, going twice. Put something in chat. Oh, here, look at that. That works. Things are popping up. Things are popping in chat now. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. All right. Megan, they want to know if they're going to get some kind of contact
she
hour
got it.
certificate with that. Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. All right. Yep. So Megan is saying yes, you can get contact hours. So also reach out if you need those contact hour sheets. Just reach out to me or Megan, and we can make sure we get you hooked
I
up
have
in that front.
attendance marked on the website, so it should
Oh,
send
is it going to do it automatically?
Mhm.
That's how we want to do it. That's how I like to see it. So yeah, that sounds great. And Marianne says that she wants something. Is that something you're just going to reach out after and ask, or does it something you want to ask in front of the group? I would like to see make train videos no longer 30 minutes. Train videos work for us because of school time limitations. I'll tell you usually how I do this training is I just do a 5 minute. I'm just like, this has been an hour, but I mean, I can run this training. I run this training so many times with this individual people over the phone or whatever. I was like, go to the screen. Usually they want a specific report and was like, click here, click the report. This is how it looks by default. You said you wanted this. I'm going to show you putting these customizations. We run it again. They're like, that looks great. I want to keep that. And then I say, okay, you save the report. Voila. Now it's your private owned report that you get to keep forever, and it's there in your special folder of reports. So you can do this training in 5 minutes, and I can create a real simple video that we can put online, maybe on our LACA YouTube page, our LACATube, and we could put that out there, and it would be like one of those real simple presentations. This is how you run a report. I just got to find a report that's not going to show any kind of real personal data there. We don't want to show any of that online, especially on YouTube. But if I can find a report that's got more general information in it that we could use as a demo for the quick training, we would put a video out there, and that would really be easy to do. Like I said, I do it all the time, just meet with people and do 5 minute, 10-minute trainings. So easy to do in 30 minutes or less. Oh, yeah, okay. So the next question is, and this is a real great follow-up question. Thank you for asking that, Marianne. Just saying, they have all these great sports, especially looking in Gradebook. There's all these fantastic reports out there. Could I do like a training on kind of what's available out there and what reports are out there? Yeah, that would definitely be like the next kind of step. Make sure you're signing up for what is it again, Megan? The team leaders, I think is the term they use, the team leader meetings. We could we'll be highlighting certain reports in those. I am going through and kind of making a library of reports for the state, and I've already introduced 10. So I might just have maybe that's just another thing to put on Lackatube. Like, here's a list of a couple reports, 5 for Gradebook you can look at. You don't want to show people 100 reports. You show people 100 reports, almost nothing's going to stick. You want to show them just a couple of reports, and then they let that ruminate for a while. Then you show them a couple more. So it might be like more like a series of videos, and we could create a YouTube playlist. I'm familiar with creating playlists, so maybe that's the way we want to tackle that. I would make sure you sign up for those team leader meetings. Any cool reports come out, we may highlight those at that. And then, do you think we could do that, Megan, where we just get that up on Lackatube, and then we could put up some individual reports or talk about them?
Yep,
Kind of like
absolutely.
maybe we could even do like a monthly thing. Here's your monthly report update. And we're gonna go over a couple reports and just kind of add additional tools to your tool belt, add a hammer, add a screwdriver, and these are some different things that you can do to get your different jobs done. with the tool belt. So just making those reports. I mean, if you know about it, then you can use it. If you don't know about it, you're probably not going to use it. So it's definitely important thing out there to kind of share what the options are that you have, what those tools are. Anything else? We're after 11 now, so I can shut this off anytime. Somebody clearing the throat for a question or just clearing the throat? All right, I'm gonna do the auctioneer thing again. Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. You got there. Just to let you know, in the slideshow, there is gonna be an additional slide in there. It's just got some extra information kind of written out. That way, they can read through that and get a couple of the points that I talked about in there. But I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I appreciate you again for showing up and joining us here. And thank you. That's it. I'm gonna stop the recording. Done.